Welcome to G-Fun Facts Online, the show that dives deep into the science and stories shaping our world. Today, we're going to the bottom of the ocean. Deep beneath the waves, in the crushing dark and silence, lies the most important piece of infrastructure you've probably never thought about. It's not sunken treasure or lost cities. It's a network of cables, most no thicker than a garden hose, that collectively form the backbone of our modern world. Forget satellites and Wi-Fi towers for a moment. Over 99% of all international data, from your video calls and streaming movies to trillions of dollars in daily financial transactions and critical military communications, travels through these undersea fiber-optic cables. Our entire global society is woven together by these submerged information superhighways. And because they are so vital, yet so vulnerable, they have become an unseen battlefield, a place where computer science and geopolitics are colliding in a high-stakes contest for control. So today, we're exploring that battlefield. We'll look at the incredible technology, the growing threats, and the complex fight to defend the digital lifelines of our planet. The story of these cables isn't new. It actually begins way back in the mid-19th century. In 1858, after many failed attempts, the first successful transatlantic telegraph cable was laid. It was a marvel. Suddenly, a message that took weeks to cross the ocean by ship could arrive in minutes. This revolutionized everything: diplomacy, news, and business. But right from the start, these connections were also seen as strategic assets. During World War I, one of the very first acts of hostility by the British was to find and cut Germany's undersea telegraph cables. This instantly blinded Germany, severing its direct communication with the world and forcing it onto wireless channels that could be easily intercepted. It was a powerful lesson that has never been forgotten. Control the cables, and you control the flow of information. Fast forward to today, and the stakes are immeasurably higher. The old copper telegraph wires were replaced first by coaxial cables for telephones in the 1950s, and then, starting in the 1980s, by the technology that runs our world, fiber optics. These are threads of pure glass that transmit data as pulses of light, offering a quantum leap in capacity. A single modern fiber optic cable can carry terabits of data every second, a capacity thousands of times greater than satellites, which suffer from high latency or delay, making them unsuitable for the vast majority of our internet traffic. Today, the global network consists of about 1.2 million kilometers of cable, with over 500 active systems connecting continents. And here's a twist. While these cables used to be owned by big telecom companies, today's major players are tech giants like Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, who need massive bandwidth to power their cloud computing empires. This mix of private ownership, critical government reliance, and rising global tensions creates a uniquely vulnerable ecosystem. So what keeps the people who run this network up at night? The threats they face are a two-pronged assault, happening in both the physical world and the digital one. Let's start with the physical battlefield. The most common problem, believe it or not, is accidental damage. Every year, there are between 100 and 200 cable faults. Most of these are caused by commercial fishing trawlers dragging heavy nets across the seabed, or large ships dropping anchor in the wrong place. Natural disasters like underwater earthquakes and landslides can also sever cables, as we saw in an outage off the coast of West Africa in March 2024. But it's the threat of intentional damage, of sabotage, that has security agencies around the world on high alert. Nations like Russia and China are known to have developed capabilities to attack this infrastructure. Russia's specialized spy ships and deep-sea submersibles are believed to be actively mapping the seabed, not for science, but to locate these critical cables, potentially as a prelude to an attack in a time of conflict. An attack designed to disrupt Western life and gain leverage. Recent incidents show just how real and complicated this threat is. In early 2024, At least 4 major cables were damaged in the Red Sea, a critical choke point for data between Europe and Asia. Initial suspicion fell on Houthi rebels, but the more likely cause was the dragging anchor of a ship that had been attacked by the Houthis and later sank. While the direct cause was accidental, it shows how regional conflicts can have cascading consequences for global infrastructure. Then there's the case of Taiwan's Matsu Islands in 2023. 2 cables connecting the islands were severed, an act attributed to Chinese vessels. This left the residents with almost no internet for nearly 50 days, highlighting how these disruptions can be used as a form of quote, gray zone aggression, a hostile act that falls just short of open warfare. A key challenge in all these cases is the difficulty in proving intent. An anchor drag can always be claimed as an accident, giving aggressors plausible deniability. But you don't even need a submarine to attack this network. The second front in this war is the digital battlefield. While the cables themselves are just glass, the infrastructure that supports them is a prime target for cyber attacks. The most vulnerable points are the cable landing stations, or CLS. These are unassuming buildings on the coast where the immense data stream from an undersea cable is connected to the domestic internet. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence classifies the risk of a cyber attack on these stations as high. A successful hack here wouldn't just allow an adversary to intercept data, it could allow them to shut down traffic entirely. Security experts call this the kill-click scenario. An attacker gains control of the network management software and simply deletes the wavelengths carrying data, effectively blinding a nation. Another insidious threat is BGP hijacking. BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, is like the Internet's postal service. It decides the best route for data to travel, but it's notoriously insecure. An attacker can hijack BGP to reroute internet traffic, forcing your data to pass through their servers for inspection or manipulation, all without you ever knowing. And then there's the long game, the threat of store now, decrypt later. Adversaries are capturing and storing massive amounts of our encrypted data today, betting that in the future, the development of powerful quantum computers will allow them to break the encryption and read everything. So how do we fight back on this unseen battlefield? This is where cutting-edge computer science becomes our shield and sword. To defend the physical cables, the first step is to turn this passive infrastructure into an active sensor network. The most exciting technology for this is called Distributed Acoustic Sensing, or DAS. DAS essentially turns a spare fiber optic thread inside the cable into a continuous string of thousands of virtual microphones. It works by sending laser pulses down the fiber and analyzing the light that scatters back. Any tiny vibration nearby, a ship's anchor dragging, a submarine passing, or even an earthquake, changes that backscattered light in a unique way. Using sophisticated signal processing and machine learning algorithms, operators can detect, classify, and pinpoint the location of a disturbance with incredible accuracy. Imagine knowing the precise location and type of threat from hundreds of kilometers away, just by listening to the whispers in the glass. For a closer look, we send in the robots. Autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, are untethered, intelligent submarines that can patrol cable routes for days on end. Navigating in a GPS-denied environment, they use advanced AI, computer vision, and magnetic sensors to follow the cable on the seafloor, identify signs of damage, and flag any anomalies for human review. On the digital front, the defense is all about layers. Our data is protected by a combination of encryption protocols. You have MACsec, which is like an armored guard on a specific link, IPsec, which creates secure tunnels across the internet, and TLS, the protocol that gives you the little padlock in your web browser. But as we mentioned, the looming threat of quantum computers means we need a whole new generation of security. This is the quantum frontier of cybersecurity. Scientists are working on 2 main solutions. The first is quantum key distribution, or QKD. It uses the weird laws of quantum physics to share encryption keys. Any attempt by an eavesdropper to observe the quantum particles used to send the key would instantly disturb them, alerting the legitimate users that they're being spied on. It's been successfully tested over real submarine cables. The second approach is post-quantum cryptography, or PQC. These are new encryption algorithms designed with math so complex that they are believed to be unbreakable, even by future quantum computers. The race is on to deploy these new defenses before the quantum threat becomes a reality. Finally, this isn't just a technology problem. It's a global chess match. Defending these cables requires international cooperation and a strong legal framework. The main treaty, the Law of the Sea, grants nations the right to lay cables, but has weak enforcement mechanisms for sabotage. Recognizing this gap, alliances are stepping up. NATO has recently established a special center dedicated to the security of undersea infrastructure. The European Union has its own action plan to fund new smart cables with built-in sensors and create a reserve fleet of repair ships. In the United States, any cable landing on its shores must be licensed by the FCC, a process that now involves a rigorous national security review by an interagency group informally known as Team Telecom. This committee scrutinizes foreign ownership and can block projects that pose a risk, particularly those with ties to strategic competitors. So from 19th century telegraphs to quantum-proof networks, the story of undersea cables is the story of our connected world. They are the silent, vital arteries of our global economy and international security. Their fragility in the face of accidents, sabotage, and cyber attacks presents one of the most complex challenges of our time. The defense of this network is a battle fought not just with ships and submarines, but with algorithms, artificial intelligence, and quantum physics. It's an ongoing race between those building the defenses and those seeking to tear them down. The battle for the deep is happening right now, every second of every day, in the silent darkness of the ocean floor. And its outcome will define the security and prosperity of our shared digital future. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.